Hope you had a great weekend and that you're ready to kick off a new week of CNN Student News. From the CNN Center in Atlanta, I'm Carl Azus.
December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy.
Those historic words spoken by former President Franklin Delano Roosevelt about the deadly attacks on the U.S. naval base at Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. The event helped propel the United States into World War II. And this weekend, America commemorated the 67th anniversary of that fateful day. Veterans and other observers gathered to honor the memories of the thousands of lives that were lost. Ceremonies also focused on the aftermath of the raids and the U.S. response.
Time for some fast facts on that infamous day. The attack on Pearl Harbor began in the early morning of December 7th, and it lasted about 2 hours. In that time, Japanese planes bombed and sank 12 U.S. Navy ships and heavily damaged 9 others. About 2,400 Americans were killed in the violence, including 68 civilians. More than 1,100 others were wounded.
Turning our attention now to Chicago, Illinois, where employees who were laid off from their jobs with very little notice have taken over the factory where they used to work. Now, this peaceful protest is happening at Republican Windows and Doors. The company closed its doors last week when its bank shut down its line of credit. That meant the 250 people who worked there were out of a job and could not get severance pay. That's money usually paid to workers who have been laid off. Making matters worse, the factory only told them it was closing 3 days in advance, when the law requires 60 days' notice. Well, a large number of people are out of work right now. Last month, 533,000 workers lost their jobs, and that is the biggest monthly job loss in 34 years. It raised the nation's unemployment rate to 6.7%, the highest that number's been in 15 years. Mary Snow examines the next step for these unemployed workers and for the country's economy.
With the number of unemployed Americans climbing, job centers like this one are being flooded. People come not only to look for work, but get coached on how to go about it.
Most success is based upon your own persistence.
At the Yonkers Employment Center, staffers say what is striking is people seeking jobs from a wide range of industries, such as financial services that haven't been as hard hit in the past.
Everybody comes in and talks about the economy, how fearful they are, and wanting to grab something before it becomes worse. So we kind of try to manage the fear.
A majority of Americans are confident the economy will improve as President-elect Obama takes office, according to a CNN Opinion Research Corporation poll.
As we chart a course,
Obama says he wants to create jobs by spending money on infrastructure projects such as building roads and bridges. His goal is to create 2.5 million jobs by the end of 2010. Nobel Prize-winning economist Joseph Stiglitz says that won't be enough and says Obama needs to double that number.
5 million jobs by 2010, the end of 2010.
That's right. That would seem to me the kind of level of aspirations. We may not make it, but clearly we need a more ambitious agenda if we're going to restore the economy to a strong situation.
While economists expect conditions to get worse before they improve, some aren't spelling doom.
The sharper the recession, the sharper the recovery. Now, in this very dire kind of circumstance, we're in a sharp recession, that may be a silver lining to take advantage of with the policy decisions that we're taking going forward.
Economist Lakshman Akutan says the timing of another stimulus package will be key. He says it'll be more effective if it's not spent until we can see some signs that the economy is stabilizing. Mary Snow, CNN, New York.
Checking out a couple other stories making headlines now, starting with violent riots taking place across the country of Greece. These have been going on since Saturday night when a teenager was shot and killed by a member of the police. Authorities say the incident started when a group of teens began throwing rocks at a patrol car. The officer who fired the shot has been suspended and charged with a crime. Back in the U.S., former football star O.J. Simpson is set to serve 9 to 33 years in jail for his role in an armed confrontation over sports memorabilia. This isn't his first time that is in the legal spotlight, but it is Simpson's first conviction. 13 years ago, a federal jury found Simpson not guilty of killing his ex-wife and her friend.
Time for the shout-out. The Rhodes Scholarship brings students to what university? If you think you know it, shout it out. Is it Princeton, Oxford, the Sorbonne, or Cambridge? You've got 3 seconds. Go. For more than a century, the Rhodes Scholarship has brought students from around the world to study at Oxford University in England. That's your answer, and that's your shout-out.
The goal of the Rhodes Scholarship is to promote international understanding and peace by bringing together people from different cultures and backgrounds. Now, every year, 32 Americans are chosen for the honor, and obviously, academics are going to play a role in the selection process. But one of this year's recipients is actually better known for his work on the football field. Don Lemon introduces us to this true student athlete.
The question many have been asking about Myron Rolle began with a call home to his mom.
I say, Mommy, it's like, hey, you find anything? I won. Mommy, relax, relax. I gotta tell you more. Oh my God!
That's how it started. That's when Myron Rolle learned he had a choice to make.
I like to set my goals for the stars, you know, and then reach as high as I can.
Number 3, Myron Rolle.
Rolle is a scholar athlete who in just 2.5 years raced through Florida State to graduate near the top of his class, pre-med. But what inspires so many and what made them cheer for Myron Rolle is his single-minded belief that anything really is possible.
Barack Obama has done it. Oprah Winfrey has done it. People who have succeeded with their academics, with their brain, with their mind, with their intellect, and with their power of speech and their influence.
Which is why it now seems all but certain his future would be decided on a big game day. It was Florida State at the University of Maryland. NFL scouts watching. The only question, which team would draft him and pay him millions? But Rolle was 800 miles away. Instead of suiting up for the game, a private jet flew Rolle to Alabama. He was up for the prestigious Rhodes Scholarship at Oxford University. His final interview was that morning. On the frigid field in Maryland, fans watched the clock, fingers crossed he could get back in time. A police escort rushed him to the stadium in time to play the second half and a huge victory. But by then, he'd already called home. The Rhodes Committee had selected him.
Why were you so excited, Mom?
Because my baby just won something that he dreamt about for many years, and he accomplished it. So like.
Myron's brother, Marvis.
I almost lost my mind. I let go of the wheel and started screaming.
Oxford, England, or the NFL. The 22-year-old had already founded health classes for needy kids in Florida and had plans to eventually start a clinic in the Bahamas dedicated to his family. So what would Myron Rolle decide?
You are going to go to Oxford, right?
Correct.
You're going to do that?
Yes, sir. I'm going to go to Oxford. It's something that I've wanted to do, and that's why I chose the Rhodes Scholarship to pursue, because Oxford's a great university.
And after that, the NFL and then med school.
I want to be a doctor. I want to be great. I want to do some great things.
It's why so many are cheering for Myron Rolle.
So, Myron choosing to hit the books in Oxford before he hits the field in the NFL. We want to know what decision you would make if you were in his shoes. It's one of our discussion questions for today's show, and it's the topic of our latest blog. You can check out both at cnnstudentnews.com. Well, if you've got a sweet tooth, you're going to love our last story today. Ladies and gentlemen, dig in to a giant German Christmas cake. You're going to need a significant slicer like this one to cut up a cake that takes up a whole cart before it was broken up and handed out to the masses. 80 bakers and chefs collaborated on this confectioner's concoction, which weighed in at a whopping 7,700 pounds. And we bet it cost them a lot of dough. Hopefully that sweet story tides you over till tomorrow. We will see y'all then.